Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another live stream with Cams. How are you all doing? It's been a bit of a crazy week. Bit of a struggle, if I'm honest. But I've gone into today feeling pretty positive. So that's a win, right? I slept well, which isn't a given. This week I've been having a bit of sleeping trouble this week, but I'm here, it's Sunday, I'm doing this thing. I had a great live stream practice experiment during the week, which some of you may have seen from the beach down in Cordon, when I took the dogs out and live streamed from the beach using my phone, using this app that I'm using now, StreamYard, and going straight into the Safari browser, it just blew my mind that actually worked. So I'm going to bring this up on the screen. Say hi to Esther, everybody. Esther's my awesome accountability partner from the Part-Time YouTuber Academy, which has been a life-changing course for me. It's about to launch. I think registration's opening for the second cohort tomorrow, and I have been taken on as a peer supporter for the Part-Time YouTuber Academy, which is just so humbling. I'm absolutely blown away that they've asked me to do that. I have my first live peer support session tonight, which is as part of the Inner Circle, which is a membership group that the course creators put together to keep us all together and keep us all accountable and to keep getting money from us. That's a bit cynical, but true. But it's an amazing support group, and one of the things that they've asked me to do is to take over a weekly peer supporter session during cohort 2, which basically just means running a live stream, a live Zoom call, and trying to facilitate discussion and support amongst the students. So I'm really excited for that. There's my friend Eddie coming on from the big bad mainland. Nice to see you, Eddie. I hope you're doing well. Let's hope we get to meet again this year sometime. So yeah, why has this week been hard? Well, it's what I spoke about in my live stream earlier in the week from the beach. It's homeschooling. It's having to accept that the structure I'd put in my life around building a new business is going to have to change considerably because, well, family, right? For those that know my son, or for those that don't know my son rather, he's 14 and he has Asperger's, so his life is a challenge and schooling is a challenge, but particularly during lockdown, all he wants to do is sit on his computer and play Minecraft and watch YouTube videos. Wonder where he gets that from. Obviously that's not going to get him much of an education, so I have taken it upon myself to take over his homeschooling, which I've accepted, and I've accepted it and found it to be incredibly rewarding, actually. Just that feeling of acceptance that family is where I should be focusing my attention before anything else. And I know that sobriety and recovery are of vital importance for me, because without those things everything else goes away. But you know, I've come to the conclusion that everything should be pointing towards being the best father and the best husband that I can be, and I haven't been doing that up till now, so it's been a nice wake-up call, I think, and it shows me that sobriety is pointing me towards that peak of being a happy family, you know, which will make me feel content and fulfilled in ways that I would never even have imagined, which is, you know, it's an interesting revelation, because that's what everybody says, family's the most important thing. And this hit me when my mum died in 2016, and I came to realise that yes, family is the most important thing to me. And I don't think I had realised that up until then. So that was 2016. And did it change my behaviour? Well, it did for maybe a couple of months. And then I went back to my old ways of filling my life with busyness and finding resentment when life got in the way and took me away from my busyness, which was self-imposed busyness. None of the things I had planned on doing to make me so busy were actually all that important. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, having discovered that making content around recovery is helping my recovery in a very big way. It's helping me to focus on what's important. And you know, that's just an amazing thing. There's my friend Eric saying hi. Good morning, Eric. Eric's in Switzerland and has been deluged with lots of snow this week, as have a lot of us in Europe. We have not on Arran. There's no snow here, it's just rain and wind as usual. But that's fine, we live on an island in Scotland, so what do you expect, right? Yeah, so it's been a struggle just in terms of having to accept that my busyness is perhaps a way of coping. You know what I mean? It's probably part of the alcoholism thing. And this is an interesting thing to talk about. When I got into the rooms of AA, I used to hear people talking about the ism. And I found that to be something I just couldn't get my head around. What are they talking about? What is an ism, right? And it's taken me years to come to understand what that means. And I do understand it now, so I will try and explain it to you here. Alcohol it just happens to be the thing that I used to help me deal with my feelings of not fitting in the world. And now that I'm sober, and have been for a reasonable length of time, I still feel that feeling of discontent, irritability, and I fill that discontent, or I address it with other things like shopping, busyness, sugar, things that distract me from what I should be focusing on and what makes me feel like a functioning human being. You know, not to mention an adult, which I supposedly am. And so I find myself now, sugar's the big one for me at the moment. That's what I'm struggling with the most. I'm type 2 diabetic, which means that sugar is dangerous for my health. I'm on metformin for my sugar levels, and I have been trying to follow the low carbs diet, and I know that works for me. I've been low carbs on and off since I was diagnosed. Well, no, actually, the first year I was on all sorts of medication and was really finding my way around this illness. And then the second year I went low carbs, and that lasted for 18 months, and I completely reversed all of the problems that I had with sugar. So it works, I know it works. And then I started to slip and slide and all of that stuff. Oh, look what my friend Sugar's saying. Great to see you, Sugar. Thanks thanks for jumping in. So, what I find myself doing now when I'm feeling depressed or overwhelmed, or sometimes even when I'm feeling none of those things, I go through and I start eating biscuits, and it's not good for me, you know. So there's part of it which is self-destructive behaviour. I'm doing something that I know is bad for me because I think it might give me an instant feel-good factor, and it doesn't really. It just leaves me feeling worse. But I keep doing it anyway, and that's the thing that keeps coming up in the rooms of AA, that idea of insanity when you keep doing the same thing over and over and over, which turns out was not attributable to Einstein at all. I found this when I was doing research for a video. I thought it was, so you learned this here if you didn't know already. It's falsely attributed to Einstein. The idea of insanity is being that you continue to do the same thing over and over but expecting a different result. And I think of it like the football scene in Peanuts when Lucy holds the ball for Charlie Brown and promises that she won't move the ball, and he believes her, and he runs at the ball and she moves the ball, and he flies up in the air, lands on his back and goes ugh, and that's, you know, insanity. He's expecting a different result. So yes, the sugar thing, right, so the ism, these are ways of addressing that feeling of discontent and irritability and of not fitting in the world and of not feeling like a functioning person, of feeling low self-esteem coupled with grandiosity, which can happen. That's an interesting paradox. And so any kind of distraction, I suppose, if you use the distraction as a way of masking your feelings or of avoiding looking inwards, then these are things that I would say are tools to deal with the ism. So the alcoholism for me, I mean, I started drinking very young, as a lot of people west of Scotland do. But what was different for me was, I think, the fact that I could not stop once I started. And that continued until, you know, blackouts became part of my life. And that was pretty scary, I have to say. I always lived in fear of waking up and being told that I'd committed a crime of some sort. And I ended up having to do time for it without even having remembered doing it, or even being sure that I did do it, because how would you know, right? It's a bit of a recurring dream that I used to have. So obviously it was something I was afraid of, and it was on my mind. Good. One of you good people in the stream, let me know if the background music's coming through, because I don't have my speakers on because of microphones. And I've taken my headphones off, so I can't tell. So if somebody could pop in the chat, are you getting some background music, and what's the levels like? So, how are we doing for time? Not bad. It's lovely to see so many people here coming in to join me on a Sunday morning. I'm really enjoying doing this. It is stepping into the fear. Oh, there's my brother. Awesome. Good, so the music's coming through, nice to hear. Stepping into the fear and going on camera is always a scary thing, right? So why do we keep doing it? Well, for me, it's helping me to step into the fear and use it in a way that helps me to explore my thoughts and feelings based around recovery, but based around me. I mean, this is my channel, so it's going to be about me. I'm going to be sharing my experience, my strength and my hope in a way that I hope helps other people too. And you don't have to be an alcoholic to be suffering from the kinds of things that I talk about here. You know, everybody has struggles in life, and everybody uses distractions of one sort or another, I'm quite sure. Exercise, that's a big one. The only exercise I get is walking the dogs, and I really enjoy it. But I sit in the house and I tell myself, oh no, I've got to walk the dogs. You know, that's a strange thing. One of my favourite places to go is above the house here in Lumlash, up into the hills, which is a steep, steep climb. But when you get there, it's just, you know, surrounded by nature like that. Your heart's been pumping to get up there. I've usually got AirPods in, so listening to an audiobook or a podcast or music. And it just, you know, it's a feeling that I often wish I could just bottle, right? And when I'm up there, I tell myself, I say, Cams, this is the place to be. This is your favourite place in the world. Why would you want to be anywhere else? And why, when you're sitting at home thinking about coming up here, why is it such a struggle to get out the door? So I try and tell myself, right, take that feeling, keep it in your heart or in your head or wherever it needs to be, so that the next time when you're faced with having to go out and walk the dogs and you can't be arsed, remember that feeling, yeah? But it doesn't work, there's a disconnect. And I don't understand why that happens. This is the strangest thing. So one of my life hacks at the moment is to use my dog walking time as a way of making content for my channel. So live streaming. I like to put a podcast out every week, and for those of you that caught my live stream through the week, you will see that I actually managed to combine recording my podcast with a live stream. So that was a bit of a hack that surprised me in a very good way, and that will encourage me, I think, to get out, because if I want to make content, going out can get in the way. Listen to me talking about distractions again, right? But if I can make those two things work together, that's a bit of a life hack right there. Now all I need to do is figure out a way of getting guitar into my content, because this is a thing that I've been pondering of late, which is that, you know, I've been playing guitar since I was 21, right? That's a good few years. And there was a period in my life when it was an obsession. From around about 2002 until we moved to Arran, so that would be 6 years. And that was when I built up my own guitar forum, which was called Celtic Guitar Talk. And I made some of the best friends I've ever made online through playing guitar and going to visit other people, attending jams, and it became vitally important to me that I play guitar. And when I moved to Arran, my work kind of took over and I stopped playing so much. And now I find myself not playing at all, hardly. So if I can find a way of incorporating guitar practice, if I can find a way of scheduling it in a way that works and making it not feel like a chore, because it's the same as the exercise. Once I start playing, it's like, oh yeah, I do love this, right? It's getting over that hump from whatever the busyness has got me doing into picking up the guitar and playing some music, because the value in terms of therapy is just immense. Which I think is probably why I started to play in the first place, because I was going through a traumatic time after having had an accident. When I was in the army, I fell off a cliff and almost lost my leg. And it was while I was recovering from that I started to play. So, I mean, this Sunday morning live stream that I close out with a guitar song, that's a good way of incorporating some playing into my content. But I would like to find some other ways of doing it as well. I'm not really sure how to go about that, so if any of you have a suggestion on that, I'm all ears. So yeah, and of course I still have my other YouTube channel to work on, Acoustic Guitar IO, which was really what my primary channel was going to be about once I started the part-time YouTuber Academy. Guitars were going to be my focus. And at the moment I'm sitting on multiple hours of content that was recorded in 2019, perhaps even 2018, that I haven't put out yet. Some of it will be out of date, some of it is interview content with guitar makers and guitar players. So it might be out of date. I am going to go through it. It's my intention to do that and start publishing on my acoustic guitar channel as well, but that's not going to happen until the schools go back. I just have to accept that. I'm not going to have time to be a full-time YouTuber. It's going to have to be, well, on a part-time basis, which really means focusing on this recovery content, because that helps me with my sobriety and my serenity. And I hope it helps you too. I hope it's useful to hear a recovering alcoholic talking honestly and openly about his own journey into recovery. So I think we will I'm going to pick up my guitar now and see what comes out, which means I need to go into this YouTube place that's playing the music, if I can find it, and bring the volume down. So if any of you are interested in what the music is, I can drop a link, or can I? Can I drop a link? Let's see. Yes, I can. I will put it into the chat. So that will go in the chat, I think, on Twitter and on YouTube and on Facebook. Technology is pretty exciting, actually. Right, so let me pause the music and pick up my guitar. Okay. Just drop the arms on my chair down a little bit. I know what I'll play. I'll play one that I wrote myself, because why not, eh? This is one that I called May the 4th Be With You. You might recognise it from the beginning music on my podcast if you're a listener. ago that was called May the 4th Be With You, because I wrote it on my wife's birthday, which is May the 4th. And now YouTube can't give me a copyright strike, like they did last week when I played a Bert Jansch song. So this has been fun. I hope you've got some value out of sitting listening to me yattering onto the camera on a Sunday morning. So I will say goodbye, and I will wish you all a very enjoyable Sunday. Remember, you're not alone.